and showing up in our space. And I want you to challenge yourself because, you know, sometimes dominant culture tell us what is valuable and what space is important and where you need to go to network and show up. And oftentimes black spaces are not the ones that they put on the value list. I'm going to be saying that this morning. So make sure you bring value to your space. Without your support, without your amplification of our work, without your donations via contributing to this conference, the work of ONABSE couldn't continue. I also want to acknowledge that... Thank you, Tanita. That's the link, everybody. And it's important for you to think about, if you're an educator listening to me, I mean, I'm not going to be able to share that with the video because I'm not going to put this on the official YouTube video. I will start my video for YouTube when they start the introduction. So we're just talking. Don't worry, this won't be going anywhere. It won't be being published, and I'm still going to be published. Here we go into day 3. You will all experience something that I hope we will talk about for years to come. And I hope we can continue to host this amazing conference every year. To introduce our keynote speaker will be Sharon Gordon. Thank you and enjoy the conference.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the most inspiring and empowering few hours of your day, we hope. It is my deep pleasure and honor to introduce Dr. Andrew Campbell, fondly known as Dr. ABC. Dr. Andrew Campbell, Dr. ABC, is an assistant professor in the teaching stream in leadership for racial justice in education and the teaching and learning coordinator for the Master of Teaching program at the University of Toronto. Dr. ABC is well known to the OISE community for his leadership on advancing anti-discrimination work in teacher education. His accolades are far and long, and I don't want to take up any more time and space. Dr. ABC will speak for himself. I do want to say that it has been my pleasure to be a student in Dr. ABC's class twice while I was pursuing my Master's of Education a few years ago. And you will all get a chance to hear him, if you haven't yet, in him living all of what we aspire to live and are hoping for with this conference, to revive ourselves, refresh ourselves, and to center Black joy in education. Dr. ABC, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sharon. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much. I just want to give my love. I did use the word love. Give my love, because when we come into these conference spaces, these official academic community conference spaces, sometimes we forget what we need to bring with us. And so this morning I bring my letters behind my name. I bring the spirit and energy of my ancestors. I bring my academic qualifications. I bring level of preparation that I've done with the work. But I bring love. I bring love. I bring love. And that is important for me to make sure I make clear, and I say that for the video, for the recording, for the audience. Because so often we are in these dominant academic spaces and we are told, it is prescribed to us. It is in very, very intentional ways directed at what you can or cannot bring. And that is why when we talk about, even in my topic this morning, Black Joy, we talk a lot about bringing our whole selves to school and to work. And a lot of persons don't even understand why we say bringing our whole selves. But if you sit still for a minute, you will realize how much of yourself you dilute, you distill, you strain out, you detach just to be accepted in dominant white academic spaces like we have here in mostly in Canada. And so when I say you bring yourself, you bring your love, you bring your ancestors, you bring your joy, you bring who you are. That is what Black Joy is about. And I'm going to get into that in many ways. But two more things I want to do. I want to say thanks for this space. And I want everyone who's listening to me to hear what I'm going to say. I want us to realize that we have to push against dominant ideas so we can thrive. What do you mean, Dr. ABC? I just came from a conference in Philadelphia, which is all over social media. That's the AERE, the American Education Research Association. I am heading to Montreal in a couple weeks for the CSSE. I have gotten an invitation to go to a conference in Germany. I'm talking about a conference in South Africa. I have done this, I have done that. And sometimes what we do, our institutions, the places we work for, remind us that these are the elements and the things that build your resume. And what we do, the black spaces, our spaces, we push them at the bottom of the list. And I want to say publicly and encourage every single person listening to me, if you're a PhD student, you're an educator, you're a scholar, you are an academic, you have a PhD, a master's, or whatever degree, I want you to contribute that knowledge to black spaces. You may not get to speak for the thousands of dollars here. You may not get the publication to go at the top of your PTR or your CV. But I want you to walk away knowing that the contribution you made to a black space like ONABSE is written down in what I consider to be ancestors' book. And let me tell you something. I like to be in everybody's book. I love to be in the University of Toronto's book. I love to be the keynote speaker at all these persons, and you see my picture on their website. It is a joy, and it is an amazing feeling. But I also want to make sure I am in the ancestors' book, because we like to walk and say, I am my ancestors' wildest dream. And I want to say you cannot be your ancestors' wildest dream when you do not show up in black spaces. That is not my speech, but my ancestors are telling me to go that direction. And I know for a fact that somebody's listening to me needed a reminder of how you show up in black spaces. So thank you, committee. Thank you, Deborah, for your leadership. Thank you, ONABSE, for providing this space for me. And I must let you know that in 2015, 2016 was the first time I attended ONABSE as a young person, just got my PhD. And I made amazing connections. And I have been attending ONABSE conference ever since, and I will continue to show up in ONABSE conferences because we need to take care of our space. Hashtag Black Joy. So let me get into my conversation. They said I can share my screen. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to live my best life with you, and I want you to live your best life for the next 35 minutes with me as we get into this. So we're talking this morning about refresh, revive, and thrive. Black joy in education. My joy, your joy as a teacher, as a principal, as a superintendent, the students' joy, parents' joy, community joy. So this is a conversation for every single one of us this morning. And feel free to type in the chat box and make your comments. You are not distracting me. What you're doing is adding joy. You're sprinkling and you're helping me to season this conversation this morning. So why are we talking about black joy? I'm going to tell you something. The other day I made a post about black excellence and black joy on social media. And I wrote hashtag black excellence, hashtag black joy. And someone jumped into my comment box. And you always know when the devil is in the box. I'm not going to hold back. You always know when the devil comes in the box to try to provoke you. Because this is not someone who has ever commented on anything. They have never poured a compliment. They have never bigged me up. They have never said, go ahead, Dr. ABC. They have never done anything. And this person slid in the box and in the comment, and she said, why black excellence? Why black joy? Why not just excellence? Why not just joy? And there are some of you who are genuinely may want to ask that question. She wasn't genuine. She was trying to be a mess. And she's also a black woman. So let me make it very clear. Black skin doesn't make you different from doing foolishness. Okay? Black skin is not the only ingredient you need to celebrate community. You need to have a heart that celebrate, protect, sustain, cultivate, and encourage blackness. When they asked me, Dr. ABC, what are you writing? What are you reading? I said, everything black. Because I'm way behind when it comes to pouring into my black joy. I'm way behind when it comes to pouring into my black excellence. I'm way behind. And many of you, you are absolutely behind when it comes to that. So you need to be investing into black excellence, black joy, black refreshing, black reviving, black thriving. And the way you do that is through how you bring yourself into the space. So why did I say that? And the reason why Toni Morrison reminds us that the function, the very serious function of racism is distraction. It keeps you from doing your work. It keeps you explaining over and over again your reason for being. If I ask many of you, how do you know you are excellent? You know what you're going to do? You're going to lean back and you're going to measure yourself to white excellence to kind of see this was what black excellence look like. If I ask you if you are good at something, we normally go to measure ourselves against the dominant standard. And the dominant standard is whiteness. I said this in 2018. See, I'm not new to this. In 2018, at the University of Toronto Black Excellence event, I said it clearly. I said, I don't use any ruler of whiteness to measure myself. So when people see me into a room, you cannot say, wow, Dr. Campbell look amazing today, like some other white professor you know, because I don't measure myself. I am excellent just by myself. I don't need to be measured. And you need to learn how to stop measuring yourself constantly. Because if you do so, you are always going to come up short. You are always going to come up less than, because you are not the dominant culture. So I always say joy is an inside job. Somebody write that down in the chat box for me. Joy is an inside job. And so we are reminded in many ways. If you look on my screen, you see that black man there is a footballer in Spain. Many of you have seen the article, and he's crying. We think about the Starbucks incident where 3 black men just go to sit and wait for a friend just to chat. How many times do you go to Starbucks just to chat and the police were called in and it became a big thing? We have seen so many issues of black men in sports, especially right here in Canada in hockey. I could show you videos, and being teased and jeered, and they have to perform. So think about the weight in which we have to perform. I remember as a young teacher, myself in Jamaica, trying to be a good little Christian boy, trying to live my best life, trying to be the amazing teacher that I am. But in spite of all of that, I am dealing with colorism. I am dealing with socioeconomic status, because you're kind of blacker than the rest, and your parents are poorer than the others, and your house is the only house on the block that doesn't have an addition, an extension. For those who don't know the Jamaican context, you can Google and read into that and ask your Jamaican friend what it means to have a home in a community in Jamaica, and you can add 2 or 3 rooms to the house. My house was the last on the block to be added onto. My mother and my father at the time, a taxi man and a nurse, a practical nurse, was investing in our education. Today we are very qualified and we are living our best lives. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. Rest in peace. They poured into me, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. How we have to pour into our children, parents who are listening to me, scholars and academic and teachers. It is our job to pour joy into the future. So Black joy is becoming increasingly recognized across educational and social justice-oriented spaces as communities recognize the essential nature of Black joy for well-being, particularly in the face of marginalization and trauma. Done and Love 2020 reminds us that Black joy is defined as the radical imagination of collective memories of resistance, trauma, survival, joy, and cultural modes of expression which pushed and expand anti-racist pedagogies. Listen me carefully. Black joy is not the absence of sorrow. Black joy is not the absence of disappointment. Black joy is not the absence of setbacks and you didn't get the job. Black joy is all of that in spite of. Because our ancestors left us the legacy of resilience and in spite of and regardless of. You know, when we see videos of our ancestors on the American plantation in North America here, and we see them singing the Negro spiritual songs. Some fool in Florida somewhere is now telling a lie that slavery was beneficial to us, and we enjoyed that because even the songs we were singing were many of them were sung in our authentic indigenous African indigenous languages, and it was songs that kept us together when we were whipped, when we were worked, and when we were murdered. Those were the Negro spiritual songs that kept us together. Some of you have never or may never have the opportunity to hear a grandmother outside in the kitchen saying, I know what a blessing it is for me as a young boy to hear my grandmother humming a song in her field. That is a picture, that is a memory that I wish I could bottle and give to the younger people. For you to understand the power in your grandmother's hum, in your grandfather's whistle. Black joy, in spite of resistance and trauma. Black joy is survival. So black joy is an affective feeling of pleasure and elation. It does not rely on what is happening in the world. What springs forth from an internal, remember when I said that at the beginning? No, the research is reminding us. The research is supporting this. And this comes to us from Brooks 2020. Brooks says it springs forth from an internal state, less dependent on external conditions, and is more inheritance of living a deep, get this word, collective, soulful humanity. I want you to underline and write somewhere on your notepad the word collective. Because I've always said to people, my joy is internal. My joy is cultivated. But let me make it very clear. My joy is fanned and sustained and protected by community. I have had the pleasure, I don't know if you have had the pleasure, but I have had the pleasure of meeting strangers, complete strangers. And they said, are you Dr. ABC? I know you. And they would say, I was at a meeting last year or last month and I met such and such, and she was telling, and she told me, and she told me, and she told me. Let me tell you something. I'm talking to my community. I'm talking to you, my people. I want you to learn how to pour in community, black community. And I want you to learn how to invest and protect. And I'm going to get a little deeper in that later on. But I want to say it right now, up front. I want to give you the upfront version. The ways in which black community we are destroyed is when we allow others to come in and break us up. Yes, we are strong but we are as strong sometimes as our weakest link. I have seen many instances of blackness rising to a level. I could tell you my story, but I won't tell you my stories today. And the ways in which others have has gone into black spaces and to whisper into each other's ear for us to cut each other down. Let me tell you something. You're not going to get this in your academic class. I'm sorry. You're not going to get this from your white professor. Let me make it very clear. So I'm going to have to give it to you. That is my gift the ancestors gave to me to give to you. You have to be careful in how you are whispering with the enemy of blackness to pull down blackness. Oh, I'm ready. I've been up since 7 o'clock this morning. I have been getting myself ready since early morning. So I'm not going to hold back. I am dressed up today to deliver. I am not going to hold back. So if it's too strong for you, you're going to do like what I'm doing right now. Sip on it. Turn to somebody who is on another part of the camera. And if they say, wow, Dr. Campbell is strong this morning, just tell them to sip on it. Because one of the ways in which our joy has been scattered and dashed and destroyed and hurt and humiliated and dragged down is through each other. See, I can talk to you because we're having an in-house conversation. We're having an in-house conversation. So I want you to be very careful the ways in which somebody comes to you and whisper to you about your black brothers and black sisters and your black others and your black LGBTQ, your black two-spirited, your black indigenous, your black hijab-wearing Muslim woman, your black othered, your black person with a certain neurodiversity, your black sisters and brothers and persons within wheelchairs. Be careful how someone whisper to you. So you are responsible, or you are an accomplice in destroying that joy. And I'm going to tell you what to do later on, so stick around, how to fix it. Black joy also been described as a divine purpose in action, paying homage to our ancestors and the celebration of sacredness. I take my black joy responsibility very serious. I'm going to tell you a story. You know I'm a storyteller. 2022, I went to Ghana for the first time, myself and a group of friends. And we had an amazing time. Many of us were learning, unlearning. Many of us had never been to the continent. It was my first trip. Many of us, because of the level of colonialism that is on us, that we carry. Get ready. Many of us, because of the colonialism that we carry, I myself, I still carry some. Uh-oh. I myself, I still carry some. We are hired in institutions that are colonial. We live in spaces that are colonial. Many of the things that we know, all we know is colonization. And so we reproduce that level of colonialism and colonial logic. So we have to do what Bob Marley reminds us. We have to emancipate ourselves from the mental and the mentality, not just the physical. I know you're fabulous. I see you. But the mental. And so when we were in company in Ghana, there were many instances where we found ourselves questioning Africanness, questioning blackness, questioning the food, questioning the quality, questioning the spaces. Because remember, colonization says to us, black is less. Black is deficit. Black is at the bottom. Black deserve less. And so we question that. And I remember we spent 14 days in Ghana. And I remember, you know, when the ancestors are ready for you, they are ready. Myself One of my very dear friend Gillette, another friend from the US, another friend from Jamaica. We put on our beach robes and our bathing suit, and we went out from the hotel onto the ocean to do a photo shoot. The last day to do a photo shoot. I want you to listen to me. Remember what we just said from Brooks 2020. Joy is described as divine purpose in action, paying homage to our ancestors. We knew we were on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. We knew where we were. We knew we were at the very shore where our ancestors were dragged away. And we were doing a photo shoot. We were living our best lives. The ancestors were proud of us. We are living our best black lives. We're taking pictures. And all of a sudden, I remember Juliet saying to me, I was on the ground and I was writing Sankofa. I was writing the word Sankofa. There's a picture. I have the evidence. Beyonce said, keep your receipts. I quote Beyonce. Yes, I do. And I was writing, and Juliet stood over me, and she was explaining Sankofa in a very deep way. And all I heard was crying in the background. That was one of our friends in the group started to cry. And I, on my knees on the shores, right in the water of the Atlantic Ocean, and I started to cry. We felt the presence of the ancestors. And I'm going to tell you something for those who don't know why I do what I do, or why I've elevated and escalated what I do. I remember going back into the hotel and looking over to the Atlantic Ocean, watching the water and the waves coming in and the tears running down. And I said, I will be my ancestors' wildest dream. Let me just put a little extra on that for you. When you make those kind of statements, just remember it's consequential. When you make those kind of statements, it's consequential. Just want to say that because a lot of us want to do blackness and black work, but we don't want what comes with it. When you are centering blackness and black joy, there will always be colonial logic that says, well, just why does have just joy? Why black joy? Why not just joy? You know why Black Lives Matter? Doesn't all lives matter? Yes, all lives matter. We know that. Nobody didn't say that. But we are centering our own business. We are taking care of business. We are watering our grass because our grass is the dry grass. Our grass is the less attended grass. Our grass is the one with the intentional weeds thrown in it when we are asleep. So when you see blackness attending to their own grass, just understand we know what we are doing. We know our grass is giving less fertilizer, less water, and more weeds. So it takes effort. And I see someone said, wade in the water. That was the energy. Thank you so much for that. And so, Black Joy, this comes to you from the Toronto District School Board African Heritage poster. And it talks about Black Joy. And this was February last year, February 2023. Our ancestors taught us how to use Black Joy to survive. So let me get into it a little bit deeper as we get to the end. I want you to notice on my page right now, on my screen, it's a rose in a concrete. It's a rose spurting up in a concrete. And a lot of us, we are so used to that. I myself used to be so proud that I am self-made, that I've been resilient. Every time my ancestors say something, sometimes I fight them. And right now, something is in my spirit to say, and I'm fighting my ancestors, but I can't win. So I have to say, let me tell you something. And I know a young person is listening to me in the audience. I didn't just come out of my PhD and walk into the University of Toronto. No, I did not. I want you to understand that a part of your joy and your work and your thriving and your reviving is that you are going to have to push against the elements. That's just the reality. I have been shortlisted 3 times at 3 different universities before University of Toronto. Shortlisted. I applied for my PhD 3 applications before I got in. I want you to understand, like I learned in school in grade 3 by my teacher, Miss Hallin. The heights by great men reach and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards through the night. So I want to say with my one voice that toiling upwards through the night, pushing hard, working hard, doing what is necessary to get to where you want to go is absolutely important. However, I want to show you another picture of the same rose. And I want you to see what thriving looks like. Somebody receive that. What thriving looks like. When we are given the water, the opportunity, the right sunlight in order for us to thrive. Ask yourself, as someone with power and authority in the Black community or someone who is a plant growing up, what amount of water do I need? And how much sunlight do I need? I have a friend, Dr. Kashka Watson from Brock University, who is a plant person. Every single plant I get, it's dead. I can tell you the truth. Every single plant. And let me just say this. And you all know, when you go to be a keynote speaker, they like to give you plant. I mean, they give me my check. They don't play with my check, but they like to give you a plant. Yesterday, Friday, Thursday, I had the honor to speak at a conference at the Early Childhood Resource Teachers. Amazing conference. And if you are one of those persons who are at that conference, I just want to say big up and enough love. Absolutely amazing conference. The energy that I received was so beautiful. I can't wait to go back. And they gave me a gift, a plant. And we had a joke about it. Because every single plant that I have, it's dead. I'm not the plant person. But I know someone, Kashka, who is a plant person. And if you go to his house, you'll see plants and you'll see the ways in which he tells you this plant needs water. This plant don't need that amount of water. This plant needs direct sunlight. This plant needs shade. I want to ask you so we can thrive. Do you know the amount of sunlight and water that you need? And if you are a leader in the Black community, I want to ask you, are you pouring in enough water and sunlight and fertilizer and manure and transplanting those of us who are coming up behind us so we can give? You know, people see me on social media and they see the things that I do. And I tell them all the while, you'll be surprised the things that I do that you don't get to see. Because what you won't see is me giving somebody a gift or a money or helping someone. You will never see that on social media. What you won't see is somebody crying in my presence and me pouring in the oil and the wine to restore and to heal, because that's not for social media. So I want you to realize that we have a duty. You and you and you and you. You have a duty. That's the word I just used, to ensure that we flourish in the Black community. Now I'm going to wrap up with 4 questions for you. So get ready for those 4 questions. As a matter of fact, there is a video on my YouTube page with these questions, and I'm writing an article as we speak using these 4 essential knowing. The first one is know your source of joy. Write this one down, everybody. Number 1, know your source of joy. And the chapter is coming out next year, so get ready to read the entire chapter. Number 2, when your source of joy is running low, you have to know when your source is running low. Number 3, know how to protect your joy. And number 4, know how much of your joy you need to give to others. The first one, let's address the 4 of them quickly, then we're going to wrap up for our next session. Know your source of joy. There is a professor at University of Toronto. He's in his name just slipped me. I don't know why his name just slipped me. He's in the School of Management. And anytime you speak to him, it doesn't matter how important or urgent the meeting is. He said to you, I want to talk to you for 2 minutes. And you said, I have 2 minutes. The first thing he asks you is, what is bringing you joy at this time? Every time he asks me, it connects with my energy. What is bringing you joy? I'm going to borrow that question from that professor. Some of you may know him. And if you know him, you could put it in the chat box. Because some of you know him from the University of Toronto in the School of Management. He's an amazing professor. I don't know why his name is out of my head right now. What is bringing you joy? You have to know your source of joy. And if your source of joy is totally dependent on your job at the school board, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. You are in deep trouble. Let me say this publicly so you all understand how I do what I do. My source of joy is absolutely not dependent on the University of Toronto. And they know that. They help to sustain it. I sometimes have to protect it from them. They help to water it. Many people there help to water it. But my source of joy is not dependent on my job. That's why so many of us, we are destroyed. Because the source can be taken from us. You cannot have a source of joy that is solely dependent on what others give to you. I hope somebody's listening to me. I hope you are listening to me. Your joy cannot be dependent on what somebody gives to you. So I want you to understand what is your source of joy. And you have to have a source. One of the greatest things I love, Nina Simone. She says, it's a new day. It's a new dawn. It's a new life. And I'm feeling good. That's one of my favorite songs by Nina Simone. She said, birds flying high. You know how I feel. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. She's pulling on those natural sources that brings her joy. So ask yourself, what is it that brings me joy? Knowing your source is important. The next one is know when your source of joy is running low. There are too many of us who don't have any form of temperature to check us. As many of you are phone people, like myself. You're iPhone, you're whatever phone people. When I'm on the phone, there's always an alert that gives me red. Battery running low. Battery running low. Sometimes I'm talking downstairs, and it says battery running low. And I run upstairs, and I get the cord. I get my cord, and I plug in. I get my cord, and I plug in. What are you plugging into when your joy is low? I can tell you, I have people in community I can plug into. I have been humbled in a very, very beautiful, appreciative ways when I've seen people come to me and say, Doctor, let us speak the truth, Dr. Campbell. I am running low. I need to plug in a little bit. I had a conversation with an amazing woman 2 weeks ago. Amazing black woman. And she said, I want to talk to you, DR.ABC. And we had lunch. And clearly for me, I could see that the joy is running low. She's hurting. And we talk, and I give her all the different answers I'm supposed to give her. And I give her, all that I need to give her from my heart. And we left. And we went outside the restaurant. And my energy, my spirit, the ancestors said, we need a hug. We need a sustained hug. And I was like, right out here in the middle of the street, ancestors, like, seriously? Yeah. And I went in for a hug, a sustained hug. And I held her. I plugged in. I plugged in. I plugged in. And the tears flow. And I plugged in. And the tears flow. And I plugged in. And the tears flow. Know when your source of joy is running low. The danger is some of us, we run low because we think we're Superman. We like the S on our chest. You have to stop it. You have to stop it. I want you to write this down and follow me on social media. My community class, my free community class is coming up in May. And one of the topic will be blackness and the soft life. Oh, you're not ready for that talk. It's going to be free. Blackness and the soft life. The ways in which as black people, especially you as black women, the ways in which you need to know you deserve soft life, softness, goodness, mercy, graciousness, grace, and kindness. You deserve softness because we have learned how to be hard. I watched my mom before she passed away. I watched my mom growing up with my mom being just a power woman. And I remember priding myself that my mom is a powerful woman, and I still pride myself in today. But when I got to a part in my life where I could afford certain things, I remember, and I have to share a personal story because that's where my energy is leading me. I remember inviting my mom to take her to an all-inclusive hotel for the first time. And she said, no, save your money. Let me just say this for you young people growing up, and your parents have struggled with you. You know the struggle life like I know. And you have come to a place where you're living your best life. You're a university professor with a 6-figure salary and you're doing the most. I love when I see you on your trips doing the most. I love when I see you by the poolside with your girls and your boys doing the most. But I hope you are also making sure your parents taste the first fruits of your success. You're not going to get this in any other university except ONABSE conference. I could tell you that. You better bottle this. Bottle some of this and put it down for when you need it. And when your parents said to you, no, I don't need it, they say that because they have always been superwoman for us and superman. Like you give them a time of softness. I remember taking my mom to the all-inclusive hotel and putting her into the most fabulous bathing suit that fits her for her age. She was 85. Give her a matching head cap and give her a matching beach robe. And my mom walked up to the pool, the jacuzzi, and all the young ladies, the black young ladies, look at her and said, who are you? You are gorgeous. She's 85. And she stepped into the jacuzzi with those black young women. Her very presence says to them, the black young ladies, you can. I want you to learn how to pour into yourself the soft life. You deserve softness. You deserve softness. Black woman, you deserve softness. I know somebody saying, well, you know, if I was a keynote, I would be saying it a different way. Well, bless your heart. I hope you be the keynote next year. This year, I am the keynote. And my spirit is telling me to say to black women right in this conference, you deserve the soft life. You deserve softness. You deserve to be handled with care. Let me move on. My time is almost up. Know when your source is running low and know how to protect your source. I already talked about this. I'm not going to labor on this because I'm respectful of time. Know how to protect your joy. I want to say to all my friends and community, I want to say to my allies, my whiteness, my white friends, I want to say thank you for those of you who have protected my joy. I can tell you stories. I always say to people, when you see me in the company of friends who are non-black, you just best know that they are good friends to me. I don't stick around for foolishness. I don't stick around to be hurt and dragged and pulled down. So when you see me, I just want to say thanks to my allies and my accomplices and my non-white friends and my black friends and my friends who know how to protect my joy. Because like anybody else, my joy has run low many times. I've told the stories. When I was disappointed in my previous job application and I was so hurt. I was down for about 2 days. Know how to protect your joy. Know your boundaries. Little black boy, I have to go there. Little black boy from Kingston, Jamaica. Growing up very effeminate. Hearing the worst things said about me. And black community, you need to know how to do better. Because everybody likes blackness until blackness is attached to gayness and LGBTQ issues. I am the keynote. I am going to speak. We like to revel, and celebrate and engage into black community until the black community shows up as 2S LGBTQIA+. Like myself, a black gay man. And then we're not so into whatever. I am black, and I am gay, and I am belong here, and I am honored and privileged and deserving of this space. Black, queer, and proud. Black immigrant and proud. Black son of Jamaica and proud. Black strong speaking dialect and proud. Black and Christian and proud. Let us know how to protect each other's joy. And the last one I leave with you. Know how much joy you need to give to others. You cannot be in community and not give joy. Our community needs joy. Our youth needs joy. Our classrooms need joy. Our playgrounds need joy. Our spaces of resistance need joy. And you know, anybody notice a picture on my screen, all you see is the water pouring into it. What I love about this picture right now is that you don't see who is pouring. All you see is the children catching. And you don't see who is pouring. Sometimes we have to learn how not to center ourselves. It's okay to pour in private. You know, I laugh when somebody says to me the other day, "Oh, Dr. Campbell, we can't afford you're afford your price." And, and there was like, because we are, it was kind of saying certain things. And I smiled because immediately I was tempted to talk about the ways in which I poured in black community free of cost. And my ancestor says, no. You don't need to quantify and defend that. That's your business, how you pour into community. I'm privileged and honored and excited. I just launched the DR.ABC scholarship. And for those who don't know, go on my website, DR.ABC.ca. This is a scholarship for black students in Jamaica and Canada. I have 8 scholarships given out this year. 8. Go on my website, click on the scholarship. Scholarship opens on May the 1st and closes on May the 31st. 8 scholarships to black young people, to black people in going into university and colleges and undergrad, doing your PhD, masters, anything, you are qualified. Because I know what it is to send myself to school and wish I had someone to give me an extra $200. Just $200. I remember the days that a $200 would have helped. A $500 would have helped. $1,000 would have put a dent into the school fee that I owed for Jamaica Theological Seminary and University of the West Indies. So these scholarships are worth 1,000 Canadian dollars each, or if you're in Jamaica, 100,000 Jamaican dollars each. Pour into community. And I want to say thanks to the people who are with me and behind me and standing beside me, helping me to pour. I know there are going to be more people who are going to say, Dr. Campbell, here is 1,000 to put into the scholarship. And don't worry, I won't steal your money. Black joy. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for giving me this space, this honor, this privilege to share. I remember my first time at ONABSE. I will never forget. I went to present one little paper. I was new. I was shy. Well, I wasn't ever shy, right? But I was new, right? And I was excited to be featured in ONABSE. I want to say thanks to every one of you who are here. I see your faces. I see you, and I see the ways in which many of you pour into this organization. ONABSE needs you. I have committed to the leadership of ONABSE to pour even more. I have plans to pour even more. Our community needs us. Our community needs us. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and an absolute pleasure. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Just, what can you say? What can you say? My heart is so full. And we know from the reactions in the chat and on the video that you have poured into us. You practice what you preach. And me personally, Deborah Buchanan Walford personally, thank you. However, we'll have an extended thank from another conference committee member, Amani Osar. So I'm going to hand over to Amani, and Amani is going to deliver our thank you to the wonderful Dr. A.B.C.
I see you, Amani. I see you. I see you. I think your mic is off, Amani. Yes, your mic is off.